Hey guys, it's your favorite cat lady coming at you live. So today, it's the same day as the other video. Today we're going to be learning about our boy, William Shakespeare out here. sHaKeSpEaRe, William Shakespeare. We're going to learn about him today. So, but first things first, we're going to talk about sonnets. Now, sonnets are something super, super fun that we didn't learn about during Poetry Week. Why? Because they are long and complicated. I had you guys go through one. It was How Do I Love Thee, Sonnet 43 by Elizabeth Barrett Browning. Apparently, I found out today that it's kind of like loosely based after William Shakespeare's Sonnet 64. I didn't know that, so fun fact coming at you. Now, before we get started today, as I've already started my spiel as always, but you know I always get sidetracked. Anyways, what I want you to do is I want you to take Cornell notes. You could take regular notes. I really don't care. Those are going to be submitted. So you'll be watching this video, getting some information about our boy Shakespeare. Then you're going to read a PDF with his 3 famous sonnets. And then you'll send me your notes and then answer 5 questions on Edsby. And that is the assignment regarding that. So now back on to our boy Shakespeare. So if this reminds you of anything, hopefully you remember reading it. Maybe you did read it. I don't know. Just depends on whether you did the assignment or not. It's How Do I Love Thee, Sonnet 43 by Elizabeth Barrett Browning. Please bear with me because I am reading it from my computer screen. How do I love thee? Let me count the ways. I love thee to depth and breadth and height my soul can reach when feeling out of sight. For the ends of being an ideal grace, I love thee to the level of everydays. Most quiet need by sun and candlelight, I love thee freely as men strive for right. I love thee purely as they turn from praise. I love thee with a passion put to use. In my old griefs and with my childhood's faith, I love thee with a love I seem to lose. With my lost saints, I love thee with the breath, smiles, tears of all my life, and if God choose, I shall love thee better after death. Okay, saucy sounds like our Romeo and Juliet, am I right? Aha, I should love thee better after death. It's funny because they died. All right, so what makes it a sonnet? What is a sonnet, Miss Fulton? I don't understand. Okay, great. So a sonnet has 14 lines and has like a formal rhyme scheme and has usually 10 syllables. So a rhyme scheme, if you remember, a rhyme scheme is a rhyme that's done on purpose. So like A, B, A, B. I know that was kind of difficult. We were kind of like, poetry, and we just put it together. I'll go through it with you. Oh my God. Cat keeps crawling all over my stuff. And then 10 syllables per line. So if we look at How Do I Love Thee? So back it up. It says, how do I love thee? Let me count the ways. 10 syllables, 1 line. And there's 14 lines in that sonnet. So most notably, Shakespeare's famous sonnets are also in his plays. So this week we're going to be looking at the prologue in Romeo and Juliet. It's kind of like the preface. It gives you the background information about everything. And I'm going to give you a couple examples. But his prologue is a sonnet in Act 1, and then Act 1, Scene 5 has a sonnet where Romeo professes his love for Juliet, and he's like, Juliet, I love you, you'll take away all my sins. It's crazy. And then prologue to Act 2 is also a sonnet. So Shakespeare really be out here doing us, a solid with these sonnets. There's 3 in Romeo and Juliet, just so you know. His preferred rhyme scheme for rhyming the lines is A, B, A, B, C, D, C, D, E, F, E, F, G, G. So that means my cat just walked across my laptop and it made a bunch of noises, so yikes. Okay, so what that means is the first line rhymes with the 3rd line, and the 2nd line rhymes with the 4th line, and then the 5th line rhymes with the 7th line, and the 6th rhymes with the 8th, and so on. And then at the very end, it kind of wraps it up with the 2 last lines rhyming together, hence the GG. Which I'll go through with you when I post the prologue video. I got a whiteboard. I'll break it down for you. I'll make your life so easy. Okay, I'll make it easy. All right, so we're moving on to irony. So if anyone remembers from the open window times, everyone's like, yeah, the open window. I remember that. So there's 3 types: verbal, dramatic, and situational. So verbal is when words express something contrary to truth, or someone says the opposite of what they mean or they feel. So they're like, someone's like, are you okay? Like, are you sure? And you're like, yeah, I'm great. Or, okay, I'm fine. You're not fine. You're obviously mad about something, right? Yes. So then dramatic irony. The audience knows something they don't. So again, we talked about this, like with scary movies. We know the killer's upstairs. Like the killer's going to come for them. And we're like, no, don't go up the stairs. But they go up the stairs anyway and the character dies. Situational irony, the opposite of what is expected occurs. So say you expect someone to come down a flight of stairs because you heard a noise upstairs, but they come around the corner and it's like, ah ha ha. Situational, it's different. All right, so your boy, William Shakespeare, loves irony. If you pay close attention, and I'll ask you a couple questions, in scenes 2 and 3 of Act 1, tons of irony. It's like, I don't know if like he just like wrote his plays and was like, ah ha ha, irony. Like, this is so funny to me. Ah ha ha. Like, Shakespeare loved irony. I'm like, wow, really? As I'm reading, it's great. I can't wait for you to find out. So some information about our boy Shakespeare. He was an English poet and playwright. You can honestly guess he lived in London. He was born April 23rd, 1564 and died April 23rd, 1616. How poetic. He lived and died on the same day like a straight G. Shakespeare's father was a very important rich man who was a glove maker. How spicy. And sent him to, you hear this? It's contradicting me. God. He went to a private school that had a prolific grammar program. So prolific means like everybody knew about it. It was a really great school. Like everybody who was anybody had to go there. So he had all this money and he was like, my boy, Shakespeare. Yo, like, William, my boy, you're gonna go to a private school. They got a good grammar program. And William was like, bet, I'm gonna learn so many things. And he was like, cool. And his family had a lot of money, so that helped. His works included 38 plays, 2 narrative poems, 154 sonnets, and a variety of other poems. What those other poems are, I have no idea. Like, I tried to research, but I mean, he was in the 1500s. There's a lot of information on him and then not a lot. Like I asked for specifics and Google was like, no, denied. Fun fact though, he was married at 18 years old to Anne Hathaway, who was 26 years old, which was spicy for the times because usually the women were younger and the men were older. And the wedding was rushed because she was allegedly 3 months pregnant at the ceremony, which for the time, I mean, now it's just kind of like whatever, but for the time period was pretty spicy, so. But he actually went on to have more kids with her. He had like twins, so.
And not Anne Hathaway from Princess Diaries, but this is, you know, in England.
Yeah, if it was Anne Hathaway from the Princess Diaries, she would be a vampire. Moving on.
Yes.
So, no. So Shakespeare established his reputation in London by 1592. So I was like, okay, Google, let me know. When did Shakespeare first write his very first play or very first sonnet? They're like, I don't know. I literally got the information like in all of his biographies. It's called The Lost Years. They have no specific time frame other than he became, like everyone knew who he was by 1592. And he started writing sonnets in the early 1590s and all the way to like 1605, and he died in 1616. So like his 154 sonnets that he had been writing his whole life were published in 1609. So it took almost his whole life for him to finally be like, you know what? I think all of these should be published together. Like, why? Why? You could, that's like 3 books. Like, why? He wanted to capture the essence of love in all its forms. Our boy William was obsessed with the idea of love, and he was so wonderfully glad that he had the purest form of love. He had the love of his life that he had married, and he had 3 wonderful children that he loved with all of his being, and he just wanted to capture that in a bottle, in a time capsule that he put into his plays and his sonnets. And fun fact for you, he never intended his work as educational pursuits or to be taught, but rather cherished. Yet here we are as part of our curriculum. It's just proof you can't control people later in history. Like, once your work is public, it's to the public to be used however. But Shakespeare is like, he's a straight G, he's a real poet, so he deserves to be learned about in school. And finally, Shakespeare worked as an actor, writer, and co-owner of a drama company called the Lord Chamberlain's Men, later known as the King's Men. So I'm just saying here, you know, Shakespeare was really talented, but he literally owned his own play company. So any play he made was basically going to be put on. It wasn't like how it took 10 years to make Hamilton and then he was lucky enough to become on Broadway. You know what I'm saying? Like, Shakespeare was like, hey, I made another play, come watch it. It's going to be through my company. And everyone was like, I guess I don't have anything else to do. So, yeah. All right. So that's it for my boy Shakespeare. The PDF that is tacked onto this has some fun information about his works and his sonnets and like background information on him, and it's got his 3 most popular sonnets. Just make sure you take notes on that too, because it's gonna be in the little quiz that's on sHaKeSpEaRe. So this opens today at 8 a.m. As you've seen on sHaKeSpEaRe, it'll be tacked on there by the time I post this, but I'm posting an assignment 8 a.m. on Monday, 8 a.m. on Tuesday, and 8 a.m. on Wednesday, and then we'll be due at 11 p.m. at night on Thursday, April 9th. I can't assign any homework for Friday just because that's not fair. It technically is a student day, so I just don't see the point in giving any homework for that weekend, so everything will be due on the same day. Choose to do it in intervals or choose to do it all on the same day. Just know that everyone else will probably be trying to turn in their assignments. And if you can't get things loaded or you can't get it to work on the last day, nothing I can do for you. So, you know, I hope you enjoyed this lesson on our boy Shakespeare and how he was a straight G. For the next couple weeks, I'm going to be doing attendance, and it's going to be like, is this line from a rapper or is it from Shakespeare? It's going to be super fun. Just go ahead and try your hand to see if you can get it right, and that will count as your attendance for the week. Okay. Miss you guys. Bye-bye. Peace out. Shakespeare forever.